Good morning. Today we are starting our turtle pond project. So right here we have all of our cinder block. That's going to be for the wall enclosure that's going to go around the pond, which is going to be right down here where these guys are working. We're going to have a pond there, wall enclosure, waterfall coming down the hill, wetland filtration at the top. So today the goal is to remove some of these chunks of concrete that they're using for a retaining wall, remove the sod out in the area that the pond and the wall and the whole structure is going to go, and get this all stacked up and moved. So today is day one, and we're just going to start getting things staged out and ready to go. We're out here on this turtle pond project. We've done some prep work here. We are putting a wall enclosure around, so we got the wall started. And the reason is because the water line is actually going to be 8 inches above the current grade. So we've got the wall, we're gonna dig out the pond, and then we're gonna have to backfill a little bit to bring the water level up 8 inches above where it's at now. So we're building this wall enclosure. And we're leaving this section here open because that's how we're getting in and out right now. This section is open because that's where the waterfall is going to come through. So we've got wetland filter up at the top, waterfall coming through here into the pond, and pond extends out over into here, and then back in here we're going to do an intake bay. So depth of this is going to be 30 inches. Total length of the pond from end to end is going to be 20 feet, and width from side to side is going to be 14 feet. So right now we're getting ready to cut out the second shelf, because really right now the depth that it's at is actually like I said, 8 to 10 inches below water line. So the first shelf is there. We're now going to dig out another 10 inches for the next shelf, and then mark the lines. We're probably 5 days into this project, just getting things ready, getting the wall ready and everything else. So should have the pond complete in 5 days. We'll call this day one on the pond itself, and then we'll start on the waterfall and then up to the wetland filter. This is the pond here. Got it dug out. Wetland filter is going up there, waterfalls coming down through here into the pond, and then intake bay over on that end. So total depth of this is going to be 30 inches. It's about, including the intake bay, 20 feet end to end, 14 feet at the widest point across. And so we've got holes dug out here for lilies to go in later. And then right here's where I wanted to show you where the water level is going to be, is right there where that line is. Out here at Niles, Michigan at Michigan Aggregate, getting ready to pick out some boulders for the next pond project I'm working on. This is for the turtle pond, and just picked up a new trailer, so really excited about that. It's a 14-foot short track dump trailer, and I figured I'd just kind of take a couple pictures and a video of it before I dump my first load of boulders in it and dent it all up. So so this is supposed to hold, it's got a payload of about 10,000 pounds, and should be able to hold or dump every bit of that 10,000 pounds. And you can see nice smooth surface down there. I expect that's all going to change here real quick though. So it's got the side gates, ramp underneath. It's got a spreader feature where it can dump through the bottom of the gate instead of opening the gates as well. And spare tire, tarp kit, telescopic lift style. There she is, getting ready for its first load. We've got the pond all dug out now. We're just cutting the underlayment and getting ready to put the underlayment in. Got a few of the boulders in. These are some of the bigger ones we're putting in the pond. That's probably about the biggest I'll go. Some of those are, it's hard to tell, but some of those are about 3 feet in diameter. I'm running into a couple issues here, so it's taking a little bit longer than I thought. But I did want to point out one issue that I did, a little boo-boo with the mini excavator. I ended up tearing a little hole in the liner. Not a big deal. I knew I was kind of risking it, and I just got too close for comfort. So we're gonna stop what we're doing and get that fixed right now. But just wanted to point that out and show you the project on the pond. So turn you around here. And so right here where I'm standing, in this area here is going to be an intake bay. We've got the pond right over here. Water level is actually going to come up on the blocks a little bit here, so we're going to tuck the liner in between the blocks over here, and water level will come right up to that on that side. The rest of it will be rocked in normally like we do it. So and then we've got a waterfall coming down right here, wetland up at the top. So we've got Thomas here working on the cinder block wall right now, and I'm going to come around here and show you my boo-boo. So yeah, I was just trying to save some digging a little bit, and shame on me, got a little too close, poked a hole in the liner. So not a big deal, it's nothing we can't handle. So there you can kind of see right there where I scraped it, and there's definitely a hole. So I've got this primer over here, can of primer, and then I've got some seam tape. So I also took a piece of plywood and put a sheet of plywood under there so I can lay it flat. Cleaned it off. So now I'm going to take that primer and I'm gonna rub that primer in there. I'm going to rough it up a little bit with a little SOS pad, and then I'm going to stick this this seam tape over it, and we'll let that set, and then I'll flip it over. And just to be extra safe, I'll throw another piece of seam tape on the other side. I'll do the same thing. So that'll actually probably be the strongest part of the liner in the whole pond. But minor setback, probably take me about 15 minutes to get that taken care of, and then we'll be rolling. So you can see here I've got my first water drop coming into the pond there, and then just kind of working up from that point. Okay, so I put the primer on right here and I let it sit for a little bit just so it can kind of become tacky to touch. Now we're going to put the seam tape on. So we'll just put that on nice and even, just like that. Got my little can I'm going to use to just kind of roll it down with. So there's a little tool that I normally use. It's a little wooden tool that I can roll this out on, but couldn't find that, so we just have to be creative here. So we're just going to roll this out here with the can, make sure there's no air pockets in there, and everything is nice and sitting flat on the liner. So that's all there is to it. So after I do this section here, I'm just going to flip the liner back and do the same thing on the other side, just for a little extra insurance. Probably don't need to, this is going to hold, but just for peace of mind, I'm going to do the other side as well. Okay, it's the end of the day. Just want to document a couple things I want to do tomorrow first thing. So up there, we need to actually slide that rock in between the liner and that leaning rock right there, so back in that corner more. That way I can gain some more space over here because I'm running out of liner. So we'll actually have to pull that liner back, dig a little bit of that bank out right there, fold the liner back, and then strap that boulder, bring it that way. I want to prop it up too because I want it to lean a little bit like that. That's going to be the frame rock for the next waterfall that comes in right here. So boom, boom. And then the other thing that we need to be jumping on right away tomorrow is just finishing up these this wall. So at the very minimum, we need to finish up 1-2 rows all the way down right there. I'd like to finish that row, that top row, and then maybe get a couple more blocks started there. We've got pour some concrete in the corners, put some rebar in, and then the liner's gonna tuck in on the top of that row right there. So wetland filter is going there. So yeah, so tomorrow main goals is going to be to finish those 2 rows at least of the wall. Maybe start on a couple corner pieces right there, reposition those boulders right there, and you know, it'd be nice to kind of finish that next waterfall section right up there, and then maybe even really start to think about how this intake bay is going to go in. Well, we ran into another issue here on this pond. So we came up short on the liner here. Show you what we're having to do. So the liner's actually coming up on this wall that's covered right now, and it's going to tuck in. And I didn't have enough liner to get us there, so we're going to have to seam a liner in. So right now the guys are just cleaning it off and getting it dry. And so what we did is we put a 2x8 all the way underneath right there. And we're going to, and then we've got the other liner that we're going to seam draped over right here. So we're going to put this primer on both sides, put a double-sided seam tape all the way down, and then overlap it, and then put a and then put cover tape over that to seam it in. So minor setback again, but kind of holding us up from progress here, but at the same time it's necessary to get it fixed. So okay, and there's our seam. We're actually going to cut the liner right in here because we don't need that extra liner, it's just overlap. But you can see we got a nice tight seam there. We've got double-sided seam tape with the liner kind of sandwiching that double liner, or that double-sided seam tape, and then we've got this cover tape going over the edge of it. So today we're working on the intake bay for this turtle pond water feature, and you can see the pond is done. Just needs some detail work, edge work, stuff like that. But right now we're working on the intake bay for it. So right there where the opening is between those 2 rocks, that's where our intake is. So all the water will flow through those 2 rocks, and any floating debris that's on the in the pond will float on the surface through that, and it'll go into the intake bay over here. So what we've done is we've dug down. We've got some water storage modules right there, some aqua blocks. That's just to hold water for the pump to pull through. This is the pump vault there, so the pump sits in that area. Water flows through these rocks and then down into these water storage modules, and that keeps enough water supply for the pump to actually pull the water. And then we'll hook a plumbing pipe, a 2-inch flexible PVC through there, bring it through our wall there, and then all the way up to the top where our wetland filter is going to go. So should have this intake done by the end of the day. Plumbing should be able to get that all installed and buttoned up, and after that we'll start here on our waterfalls, which is going coming from the top of that hill, working its way down. Happy Friday, everybody. Dave Hamlin here, Serene Water Gardens. Friday afternoon. Pond's done, and we're getting ready to fill it up here. We still have the waterfall to build, and of course a lot of detail work, but I just want to show you guys a video of it before we put water in it. So turn you around here. So total length of this pond is probably close to 20 feet, including the intake bay, 14 to 15 feet at its widest point. So you can see intake bay is down at the end right there, so I'll kind of bring you in and show you that. So that's our intake bay. So all the water is going to actually come in, and it's going to get choked out in between these 2 rocks. So any floating debris that's in the pond will come in through there, and the pump is located in that vault. So everything will get pulled down, and the water will go up to the wetland filter up near the excavator over there. So from the excavator, it will start a series of waterfalls coming down, probably 4 waterfalls, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 3 of them built right now. Can't see it because the liner's pulled over, but working on that, and you can see we're filling the pond up now, so have this filled up in no time. we're in the process of digging out the wetland filtration system. So I'm just going to turn you guys around what we've got going on here. So about a 20 feet in length pond from end to end, 14 to 15 feet from side to side, and we have our intake bay right in over here. So there's our intake bay, pump housing there, pump vault sitting in there. And then the reason for the wall is this is a turtle pond, so we're going to enclose it a little bit, help trap the turtles in their environment here. So there's always a chance that they'll escape and wander off, but we want to make that as difficult as possible for them, so that's what we're doing. So a couple areas we have for the turtles, we've got a basking area right here on this log, about 2.5 feet of log there going up that they can crawl up and bask in. We also have this rock here that comes out of the water. If they're able to climb up it a little bit, they can use that as well. And then of course the homeowners got this cool looking floating hippo head, which is pretty sweet. So I'll zoom in on that a little bit. It's actually pretty realistic looking. So the turtles actually be able to crawl up and down in different spots on that as well. There's also a beached area over here. Beached area on this side where they can easily crawl up and out in that area as well. So total depth, we're probably right around 28 inches or so. We've got Jake on the excavator, he's digging out, and we're going about 4.5 feet down total from water level. So digging this out, it's going to be 12 aqua blocks, 12 small aqua blocks, and centipede. You can see we've got laid out over there. That's the centipede, or I'm sorry, that's the snorkel, and it's got a centipede that lays along the bottom. And what happens is the pump has a hose, so the pump's in there, it draws the water through, and then there's a plumbing pipe that it sends it up right up here to this wetland filter. And in the bottom of that, there's a long, you can't see it, but there's a long, we call it a centipede, that goes across, and the water pumps through that and it distributes it, disperses the water and distributes a little bit more evenly. And then it's got these aqua blocks, that's just the tops, but they get built on them. You can actually see some of them stacked up right there. Water storage. So we line this hole right here, and then that snorkel and centipede, the centipede lays across the middle, the plumbing comes in and hooks onto that. And then on top of that centipede are those aqua blocks, and then we have 3 different gradations of rocks. We have like a 4 to 6 inch rock. We'll put a 1 foot layer on. So we've got centipede, aqua blocks, about a 1 foot layer of that 6 to 8 inch cobblestone. I'm sorry, 12 inch layer of that cobblestone. Then probably about 10 inches or so of a 1 to 2 inch stone, and then after that we'll go with a smaller 5/8 stone for the top. Then we'll put some bog plants. So this is the filter, so the water will come up from the bottom through that centipede, through the aqua blocks, and then up through those different gradations of rock to allow everything, all the sediments, large sediments will get trapped by the large rocks. Smaller ones that make it through will get trapped by the next size gradation of rocks, and so on. Come up through, and then all of those rocks will also store beneficial bacteria, and then of course filter out the water at the same time. So we'll put some plants at the top of it. That'll help. The roots from the plants will also absorb the nutrients out of the water. Once it comes up through there, it'll go down through a series of waterfalls right here into the pond, and then just constantly recirculate. So we're installing our wetland filtration system here, and that's what I'm doing right now, is hauling in our first gradation of rocks. So I'll flip you around. So what we've got going on is we've got our aqua blocks in right here. There's a snorkel buried, you can't see it, that comes up out of the ground. Centipede runs under. So what happens is the plumbing comes in, goes to the centipede, which runs underneath this area here, and that distributes the water evenly. And then it comes up through these different grades of rocks. The snorkel comes up, so in the springtime we can just drop a pump down in the bottom of it and pump this wetland out. But right now we're putting our first grade of rocks in. These are probably 4 to 8 inch size cobblestones. We're going to put about a foot of that in, then we're going to go to the next size, which is about a 1 to 3 inch stone. And then after that we'll do like a 5/8 inch stone on top. We are testing out, doing a first test run on this turtle pond. So I'm going to flip you around, see what's going on. So we turned the pump on, plugged in right there. Plug's running through the wall. This is our intake bay. Pump is in the pump vault there, and you can see it's pulling the water in pretty good through here. So that wetland filter at the top has to fill up. So there's probably 700 gallons of water or so in that intake bay. So we had stored water, 500 gallons over there. So as the pump pulls the water out of the pond, we're replenishing it with our water here. So I'm going to bring you around here. This is about a 20 feet in length total by 15, about 30 inches deep. Got our hippopotamus in there. So here we go. So water's now filled up in the wetland, and see what we've got here. First waterfall looks good. Second waterfall looks good. Waterfall number 3. And the final waterfall. Really good water flow there. So we've got a 5 PL, so it's 5,000 gallons per hour coming out of the pump. We 2-inch plumbing going up to the top, and then we split it so we can actually we've got a ball valve on it to where we can control how much water is actually coming up through the wetland filter. A lot of times it's good just to do 2,000, 3,000 gallons coming up through the wetland filter, and then what we can do is we've got that ball valve with the pipe coming out where we can control the speed and dump the rest of it out right there. So it looks good. So obviously we have a lot of edge work and touch-up stuff to do, but everything's looking good and flowing well right now. Hey guys, finishing up the turtle pond. We're down to the last 10%. So I'm gonna flip you guys around here and just show you what we're working on. So before we had that wall, cinder block wall. So we've got our faux rock paneling up all the way around on the outside. Jake is coming back Monday to finish up the inside of it. You can see there's some areas in the inside that still need to be finished. Michael's over there planting some lilies right now. He's putting some lilies in. We've got a couple other plants going in, and the homeowner is going to actually plant some as well. So we have our intake bay doing what it's supposed to be doing. You can see the waters, it's drawing everything on the surface up and in, and then it's just swirling around right here. So this intake bay is designed to capture everything that falls into the pond and then just bring it into this one spot where it just swirls around, and the homeowner can easily just come up and pull that out with a net. Waterfalls are complete, so we've got all our edge work done all the way around the pond, and the waterfalls are looking really nice. So we've got 4 drops going on here. A little bit of a horsetail falls right here, and this is a little side angle waterfalls. We also have a little bit of water coming up over the edge on that one, creating a nice little bird bath area. So I don't know if you can see it really well. So going up to the 3rd waterfall is right in there. That's a really nice one. It's got a little bit of a cove underneath it. It goes back a little way, so it creates a nice echo. It also lights up really nice at night. And then the top waterfall is there coming off the out of the wetland filter. So really happy with the way this is turning out. Take you up here and show you the wetland real fast. So nothing real special, but it is a really nice wetland filter that's filtering this whole pond. A little bit oversized for a pond this size. It's actually a little bit bigger than what it looks. We've got aqua blocks down 4.5 feet, starting from over here all the way back to over here, and then about 6 feet wide as well. So it's about 8 by 6, and then of course all the gravel, different gradations of gravel that goes in. This still needs to be planted up as well. Get some good bog plants in there, and a little bit more tidying up here. Like I said, we have to finish the wall out, and a little bit of cleanup work left as well. So real happy with the way this turned out. The homeowner actually added 4 koi fish already. Little cleanup left, as I mentioned, and yeah, so another day left on this just to wrap the wall up and clean up, and we'll be done.